to hear that. The more we talk, I think in any WhatsApp groups and any other discussion forum, there is a massive debate that keeps happening around what will happen in 2022. 2021 was pretty bad, so a lot of people have different opinions, and I think that's something which makes things more challenging, because no one really has a very clear picture about what's going to happen. Everybody is making their own decisions as per their best judgment, and this group today, we are also going to look at a few things that we know of, that we see, and then towards the end we can always have a more open discussion around the same thing, so we can have a better understanding as a group. As you know, the topic is in this context of the entire new year and entire 2021, the tech hiring scene in 2021 was pretty bad. So what we're going to look at is how it is going to be, what we can expect, and some ideas about how can we prepare as talent acquisition leaders, as recruiters, as founders, to do better in 2022 and prepare for tech hiring in 2022 and even beyond that. So that's roughly the goal. The agenda that we have is we're going to have a pretty short recap of what happened in 2021, and more importantly, why it happened. Then what are the trends that are coming in 2022, what we can expect. What are the key challenges that we can expect when we are hiring in tech in 2022? And what are the things that we can do as companies to adapt better? And then we can open the floor to summarize and to have any questions. 2021 recap. I think tech hiring really got disrupted. Disrupted is the right word, really, if you look at when you describe tech hiring, because a lot of things that were already established before 2021, they kind of got questioned. People started rubbing their eyes, and they saw things that they never saw before. So anytime this issue or this discussions comes up about tech hiring, all of these discussions are pointing to the same thing, that it fundamentally changed, became very, very difficult in 2021. 50% to 100% hikes became very common. So we all know that there were people having multiple offers, and then there were bidding wars, and people taking one offer and then taking more hikes on it. So 50% to 100% hikes, which were very, very good hikes before, they became very commonplace and very table stakes sort of a hike in 2021. And this is again one of the poll results that we did in our community, in our user base. And what we found is 62% people said that they are the average salary hike that they offered is 30 to 50% at least. And then there are 27% people who said 50% to 80% hike is what they normally gave. And then there were, of course, 80% to 150% hikes also being offered by companies. So these are just average hikes. But the main issue even then, and then again we asked one more question to the companies, is what are the main challenges you faced when you said tech hiring became very, very challenging? What exactly you mean by that? And then what we got to know is we asked this question, and then you can see that most people had declines. So while the salaries they offered were more and more this year, but even then, even after offering higher salaries, the desired salaries to the candidates, they did not join, they did not accept the offer. So first of all, salaries, the expectations are very high, but even if the companies tried to meet those expectations, what they realize is that they were not able to still get the talent, and people joined some other companies, or they declined, or they did not turn up. So there are two categories of reasons why it happened in 2021. One is the factual category, where the demand supply the laws of demand supply were in play, and these are real factors. And then there are sentiments, and sentiments are very corner cases, not very frequent, not belonging to the mainstream, but they have a very large effect on the public, and these sentiments can change the mainstream behavior of people. So I'll just give you example of some of the factual reasons. So COVID-19 effect was a real factual reason why there was such a big change in 2021. First of all, we all know that in 2020, when COVID hit, there were a lot of companies that were not sure about hiring. So their hiring goals were sort of curtailed in 2020. They were not sure about the prospects. They were on the fence. And then hence a lot of companies had pent up demand from 2020. That demand came through in 2021. So a lot of roles got opened in 2021. Then the second thing was second real reason was the whole COVID scenario changed the adoption of tech in a lot of places, and we all are witness to it. The third reason is all these companies hiring in 2021, new companies coming in, bringing more products and more technology to fulfill the demand. At the same time, all these companies, because of remote work, because they were hiring anyway people from anywhere, they were just going, breadth-wise, they're going to any place where they could find talent. Location became a no factor in their decision making. And what that led to is a person sitting in Bangalore not just getting offers from companies in Bangalore, but also getting some offers from companies in Pune, Mumbai, Chandigarh, Delhi, from anywhere. And these companies also are fulfilling demand from not just India, from abroad as well. So they also had the salary budget and everything else to pay for this talent. Then funding boom that we all know of. So we all know that in 2021 alone there were 46 unicorns. As compared to this, in 2020 there was only 10 or 11 unicorns. So there were 4 times more unicorns in 2021, and most of I think around 18-19 of these unicorns out of these 46 came in last 3 months. So the velocity also was increasing of unicorns. And why unicorns? Why we all focus on unicorns? For every unicorn which is out there, there are tens, hundreds of startups that are also getting funded. So every unicorn represents interest in the startup ecosystem, and hence there are more companies, not just unicorns, but also other startups that are raising money. So there were $42 billion of money that was raised in India by Indian startups in 2021. This was around $10 billion in 2020. So again, 4x increase in terms of the funding raised by all these startups. And today, India's startup ecosystem is around 60,000 startups, which is third largest in the world. More important than these two factual reasons why these demand supply factors they worked, there is sentimental reasons as well. And these are very strange and very, not very rational reasons, but these are the psychological reasons, right? So this is very much like stock market. So you have some companies that had a very bold hiring or retention tactics that came up in 2021. So we all know about BMW bikes being offered. You might have also read about companies like SCL, which is even a services company, not even a very well-funded company or product company, offering Mercedes-Benz as an incentive to top performers to retain them. So even for these kind of news and these kind of bold hiring tactics, where companies come up with these tactics, they kind of play in the minds of an average person who is hiring, also a person who is looking out or looking for opportunities. So that is something maybe not affecting really in terms of demand supply, in terms of real numbers, but it kind of plays to the sentiments of the users, of the people. Again, unfortunately, there is no respite which is going to be in the demand. We are going to see more demand. As I said, the velocity of unicorns has increased, the velocity of funding has increased. So there will be more companies 60,000 companies are already out there, and more companies will raise more money. So funding boom is expected to continue in 2022 as well. Already there are predictions that there will be 50 to 80 unicorns this year as well. And companies, because of the budget and all the other constraints, they will be planning for higher salary budgets. So that's going to happen. A lot of companies are already in this financial year planning. They are very seriously looking at it. There are cases like Citibank, there are cases of other companies which have now woken up to the fact that they need to normalize and they need to benchmark the salary again. And now a lot of these news and everything else is going to also become a major factor. So demand will get higher. There's not going to be any respite based on that. The downside is that the existing workforce also is working in our companies, so there will be some attrition pressure also on our part, right? So, but that is something we have to fund. So we have to fight on both fronts. While we have to hire, we also have to manage attrition in our companies. So it cut both ways, but eventually bigger companies are to lose more, where they will be leaking more talent, and it's already happening. I think Infosys numbers were recently made public. I think 25% attrition is what they are seeing, which is a very high attrition rate in last 1 or 2 years. So existing workforce is going to add more people to the talent pool. New talent pool is going to get emerge, and this is going to come in from different, again, same demand supply thing, so that more people are going to switch to tech. More people are going to also learn different skill sets. So let's say somebody who was not learning, or who was in front-end engineering, or maybe in Microsoft technologies, now going to see more and more React jobs, and is going to shift towards React based on the understanding of, so they already have understanding of the different domain, and they will try to get into the newer skill set, which is in demand right now. And new geographies will also emerge. So recently we are also, for example, we are seeing a lot of people coming from places like Nigeria, on Cutshort like places, and applying for companies and jobs here, because they're now realizing that there is a big market of 60,000 startups alone here, and they are hiring, and they have the skill set. So new geographies are also going to get pulled in, and they're going to also start applying and start reaching out, and start becoming available to the companies in India. Because of the higher demand, there will be more talent, but this is going to play out in longer term. It's not going to happen immediately in next 3 to 4 months. It's going to play out in next 2-3 years. And I think candidate preferences are stabilizing after 2 years of COVID, post-COVID experience. There was a big debate between hybrid, or whether it will be work from home is what you want. A lot of companies had just started opening their offices, and it was a good plan, because it would help in arresting attrition to some extent, and it also help companies build better culture and better engagement at work. But then at the same time, the COVID thing happened. But apart from it, also what we have realized and what we have asked our user base is that what we have found from there is that people want work from home as a primary mode of work. If you ask them to relocate to a specific location, then really it's something which don't prefer a lot. What they rather prefer is largely work from home kind of setup with some in-person contact. So they also want to have some contact. They also want to meet people and meet the team and everybody else. But it's not for that. They don't want to just relocate to a specific location. They would rather stay wherever they want to be, and they want to come. Let's say want to come and meet a team and work from the office for, let's say, 4-5 days a month, or maybe a week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks in a quarter or something like that. That's something which is emerging as a primary choice for most people in a tech audience right now. So that's something which is stabilizing right now. And I think salaries is one of the main reasons why people are choosing companies and switching. But beyond that, quality of work and company culture has come in as one of the important, or as two important factors as well. So those are the candidate side preferences that are kind of stabilizing in 2022. So I think companies that are hiring need to look at this and try to plan around it. So what to do to hire better in 2022? So these are the trends that we saw. There's no real respite coming in from the supply side of talent. Demand is going to increase. So what should be the plan of action for companies that are hiring in 2022? Let's just relax and understand first of all that hiring is not a winner take all market. It's not like everybody's competing and everybody will lose, or everybody will lose and only one or two companies will win. It's a large market. There are millions of candidates out there, millions of talent pool out there, and there is a possibility that you can still find that talent pool if you just know what are you doing, and we'll talk about it. It's important to have a plan, because if you don't have a plan about what are you going to do, then eventually your hiring is going to look like this. You're going to be posting jobs at different places. You're going to do what you were doing before in 2002, 2020, 2021, and you will continue to do the same thing. So if you do the same thing again, what you did in 2021, you're also going to see the similar results. People will apply because they want more offers. They find your role to be interesting. They think your company is doing something interesting. They want to explore the opportunity. They're going to be applying to your jobs, and you're going to interview them. Then you're going to look at their current salary, their expected salary, and you're trying to gauge what should be the right amount of offer that you should make. And you will also try to impress them in the hiring process. Somehow you will tell them that how cool this company is and all of that stuff, which is great. But candidates will get many offers. They are not sure about your company, and they will choose one offer, which might not be your offer, which is what was happening in, let's say, 2021. And then that out of 10 people you interviewed, you offered 4 people, out of which 3 people did not join for whatever reason. One person joined but did not stay. So you kind of know your numbers, and then you say, okay, out of 10, how can I interview 100 people? And you start playing a number game because you think number game will sort the things out. What you actually want is a bit of different strategy, which you could do. And we have talked about this many times. Even Cutshort's homepage is all about this. It's never about just, some absolute sense of the candidates you want to hire. You want to discover candidates for your company, and that's why your is in italics. Because your kind of people that you want is maybe very different from the kind of people some other company wants. And a lot of times we as a recruiter, as founders, we kind of get led to believing that there are only 2 or 3 categories of candidates. One is top talent, one is not so top, but somewhere in 85-90 percentile, and these people come from these kind of colleges, these people have worked in these kind of companies, and then you try to and then there are people who are not good enough, right? And they're active job seekers or are not good enough. So there's a lot of things that we have, a lot of notions we have in our head about what kind of people are universally good for everybody. But it's not about universally being good or bad. It's about what is good, what works for your company. And a lot of companies don't do it. They just try to copy other companies. So first of all, what you really want to do is want to discover candidates for your company based on the skill set that your company needs and based on your uniqueness as well. And then you design a process that is a two-way process where they get to see you as well, not just the other way around, where you just try to understand what is their skill set, what is their competency. You also give them a fair chance to qualify and gauge your unique strengths. And then you measure, continuously improve. So what you really want to do is 4 things and not play the number game. If you do these 4 things correctly, then basically you have a much better shot. So one is find your company employee fit. So as I said, what kind of talent you need? Top talent, 10x engineers, these are all our vague terms. we somehow just bracket people based on the discovery that other people have already done. So let's say somebody applies to your job, you look at the person's resume and something like that, and you say, okay, this person is looking okay, not very great top talent, and you skip, or you may not proceed with interviews at that time. Same person in 1 or 2 months you find that was picked up by Swiggy, or by got a job at a different company, and which is a good company, and then you suddenly have a different perception of the same person, because now the person has been taken by somebody else, right? So then you realize that this person was actually top talent. So top talent becomes a property of what other companies are evaluating a talent at. What you should be doing is evaluating at your own in your own context, and try to see what is good for you, for your company's complexity. So every company needs different talent. Every company has different stage. Your product might be very different from Razorpay's product. It may be very different from other companies which you think are very good, but they have a different context altogether. Your team structure might be very different. Your process might be very different. Their team structure is very, very specialist driven, while your team structure is more generalist or more broad driven, where you have people doing 2 or 3 things together, and that might be your existing team structure and process. So that's for that kind of people, but that kind of a process and that kind of setup, you'll need a different kind of people than a company which is doing different, which is having a different kind of a setup. So that's important for you to understand what is the context that we have. Next step there is, what is unique about your company. So while you know that what kind of people you want, what is unique about a company that makes your employees come and stay? So this is something, a simple statement that you can come up with. If you can come up with a statement like, if you can tell this to a candidate that if you want A and B, then this is the right place. If you want X and Y, then we would not be a good fit. And it's important for us to identify both A and B and X and Y as well, so that we know that what kind of people exactly we want to attract and who will be a fit, and they will stay and they will thrive. And once you know about the kind of people you want to hire, and you know about why they would stay, then becomes your job becomes very much easy. So again, to illustrate an example, if you look at Gojek, right? So Gojek has created a different kind of positioning in the market. They researched and they realized that they are looking for product builders and geeks, and they know that they are not looking for formal engineering backgrounds. So even their senior engineering teams actually are not even engineers, let alone IIT or something else. They just are not even engineers. And what they realize is their strength is about building products, and about the process to build products. And then they started a podcast called Go Figure, and they started even in all their ads. They also had Bangalore Airport, they had some hoardings, and they had billboards. All of them, they started talking about things that they really were good at. And similarly, and once the core engine was set up, they just did all of this thing to just amplify the messaging that this is, if you want to work on products, if you want to build on products, and not from engineering backgrounds, even if you're not an engineer, don't worry, Gojek is for you, right? And let's say they could extend it, saying that if you're looking for a very formal, specialist kind of a role, then Gojek might not be for you, right? That they could have come up with something like that internally. But that is how it is important that you kind of understand that how can you summarize what kind of people you want, why would they come, and why they should not come to join your company. One more example is Mac App Studio. I'm not sure if people have heard about it. I recently actually got to know about this company from some candidates, and the way they spoke about it made me look up this company, because they were very, very enthusiastic about this company's brand. And I realized that now Mac App Studio, very less known company in Chennai, what they did is they have this entire persona, or their messaging is around having people in the team who care about a social responsibility. They believe in merit. They believe in skills being first. They have somebody who was not even an engineer, not even a formal white collar person, and they trained a person to become an engineer. I think Zoho also has a similar kind of examples and stories where they take people in without any on based on just potential. They groom them and then they let them grow in their companies. So MacApp Studio also has this similar kind of positioning, and that's how they figured out that this is what they're good at, and based on that they also kind of, it's a very well-defined strategy that they know what kind of people they want, and then they know what is in the company which is very interesting for these companies or for these people to come and stay. And then they talk about it in terms of different stories, in terms of different initiatives. Like in this case of Go Figure, in Gojek it was Go Figure. In case of MacApp Studio, it was, I think, some LinkedIn post and some propagation of that messaging about how they really think and what kind of system they believe in. So once you know that what kind of people you want and why would they come and stay, now you know the unique concept about your company and what you want to propagate. Now it becomes next step is to discover and get discovered. So how do you wherever your target audience is, wherever your talent is, you want to get discovered by them. So first of all, as I said, with things like your podcast, or things like even your job post, right? And I'll talk about job posts in a bit, but even job posts can be very powerful. A lot of recruiters think, for social media, I don't have marketing budget. For campus relationship or for hackathons, again, I don't have a budget. I don't know how to go about it. You're talking about blogs, you're talking about doing all of this, which is great. But when I go to my team, they don't have time to write blogs and engineering blogs. Right? These are the main pain points that come in when people realize they want to implement these ideas about attracting talent. But the easiest thing you can do is, even in job description, you can try to talk about what is unique about you, and I'll just describe that in a minute. But those are the things that you can do, and then there are other things also. Again, as I said, you're looking at engineering blog as something which is not necessarily engineering blog. So don't really get an idea about a specific way to implement it. The idea is to understand that how can we be present where our audience is, and how can we tell our story? How can we give them an idea about what we stand for? And it could be different ways. It could be blog. It could be something which is a part of your hiring process also. And we'll talk about that also. Attracting your target talent for right source is very important. And once they are applying, and people who are applying to your positions, how do you filter the right ones which are in line with your target audience, right? So we have this temptation that anybody who's applying looking to be good, we try to interview and we try to go forward. But that's actually a losing proposition, because if you know that somebody is not a fit based on the questions, based on the different things that they're asking in the first call, right? It's actually more, it might be more useful to drop them right there instead of taking them all the way through, because it ends up really wasting your time and energy on people who are not your ideal fits, right? So the idea is to really focus on ideal fits and then take it forward from there. Getting JDs right, because I talked about JDs and how can you embed it inside your product in your day-to-day hiring as well. So a lot of JDs still, I think people have started improving the JDs, but still there's a big gap in terms of what the JDs could be. So this is an example JD. You can see nothing wrong with this JD, right? I mean, this is the JD that we see everywhere, and most of the enterprises and big companies have these kind of JDs. So it starts with a role overview. We're hiring for software engineer who will do this position, integral part of something. About the role, you will write code, you will own and maintain high quality code. And about you, this is about you, right? And it's very transactional, right? It just says it's a job, and this kind of takes you back to the older newspaper ads where people used to have vacancies, right? And you could just say, okay, this is a part of your job. You have to do these 5 things, and this will be the salary, which will be a fixed salary, right? That's how we used to see in older days. But now it's not about that. It's about it's not what it is doing. Actually, this job is doing it's generic. So it is trying to appeal to all software engineers who are, let's say, Java, JE, REST, Spring, so who know about 5-year experience in Java development is the kind of audience that they're going after. And they're saying, okay, this is what you are, and this is what you will get to do. And you should apply if you think this is something that fits your your skill set. But the problem with JD is it's a generic JD. You'll get a lukewarm yes, that out of 100 people who are fitting, 90% people will apply, but there are very few people who will say a very strong yes. What you really want is you want a strong yes from 5% people. You don't want 90% people to apply. You want 5-10% people to apply, but they should be really the right ones, and who should get inspired and who should really feel that this is the right kind of company for them. Your JD should be visual. It should be unique. It should be telling a story about what your company is all about. A better example is how Amazon does that. So this is Amazon's JD. Now it does not talk about your skill set and what you will do in terms of really hard requirement. Now what it is saying is, do you want to influence the experience of millions of customers? So starting from a sort of an impact that you will have, and then it says, we need to redefine the customer contact experience and all of that, and the software engineers team you will collaborate. Basic qualifications, again you can see 0 to 1 year of software engineering experience, a strong coding ability and something like that. But their basic qualification are preferred, and the basic qualification also is not very hard. It's not very, very stringent. It's 0 to 1 year of software engineering experience. I have seen some companies are even mentioning that even if you're not an engineering background, it's also fine. You should just know how to code. You should know how to solve problems with programming, something like that, right? So basically, once someone reads this, and your audience, and you have researched about your audience, your JDs now is representing what your company is, and what your audience is, and you want those 5% people to really have a very strong yes. So this is a better example in that way. It starts with a candidate perspective. It highlights the things that target candidate is seeking. So you can see in their research, they might have realized that people want to work with great cross-functional team, and that's what Amazon can offer them. That you will not just work in your own silos. You will get to work across different cross-functional teams, and that's what they wanted to highlight here. So they have kind of tried to focus on this, and there's no long list of hard requirements. It's kind of the great thing about JDs is it can put forward your philosophy about what you think the world to be, what you think about talent, what you think about teams. By saying things like you don't care about engineering backgrounds, by saying things merit is more important, by saying things whatever are important in your JD, you are actually outlining what is important to your company. And if that matches with the wavelength of the other person, then really you have a great fit. So by saying this, in Amazon is kind of saying, we know that good engineers can come from anywhere. We don't have a very hard requirement. If you think you have the skills, you have the code, you can solve problems, come along and we'll talk, and we'll try to talk to you and see a fit. And I think once those two things are sorted, once you know the kind of people you want, once you know what is unique about you, and second, how to attract them, then the next part becomes about unique hiring process. And a lot of people think as long as you get talent and recruiters, and that's where I think tricky, in practical matters, things really become tricky, because this is a time when the candidates apply and the recruiters and hiring teams shortlist, and they pass on the candidates to the business teams or tech teams, and then they think the tech teams will take care of stuff. And what we all know of is that there will be multiple interviews. So there will be one interview, or there will be, and these days it's very common to have, let's say, one assignment or a test, and then there is 1 or 2 or 3 rounds of interviews. So there's a handoff between recruiters and tech teams, and that's where the ball really gets dropped, because it really becomes about technical competency of the candidate, and the candidate is expected to prove their mettle from one step to the other step. While that is happening, and it might take 10 days, 2 weeks sometimes, right, 2-3 weeks for all these interviews to be over, the candidate already is talking to other companies. And in this time frame, the recruiter is just checking in, getting a sense of what is moving on. But then the onus is on the candidate to prove their mettle. But what is not happening is the candidate is not getting a chance to understand the company a bit more at a more deeper level. So while the other offers are rolling in, the candidate might drop off, because they think, okay, why to spend 3 more interviews or time on 3 more interviews when I already have a good offer? And because they never really got a chance to understand the company a bit more, a bit better in this time when the interviews are going on. So before 2020, it was about you. This whole hiring process was about you trying to gauge the candidate. And now it is not just about what you're trying to gauge, it's also about you helping them understand if your company is for them as well. And that's very important. And there are a lot of innovations that you can do in the hiring process, where you can try to bring about this understanding and knowledge and this information to the candidates, instead of just waiting for the entire hiring process to be over and then you coming in later at the later stage trying to again convince them or make them excited about the company. You are trying to proactively embed experiences in the hiring process, so that the person is also getting a chance to experience your company in some way. And I'll give you some examples. Like there are things like open houses, there's things like reverse interviews, there's things like spend a day with your buddy. All these things, and these are some of the ideas. Why these ideas are not important, but what is more important is the spirit of these ideas. The idea is that what if we do, so our kind of audience, our kind of candidates have a lot of questions. And what they want to do is, they want to understand, let's say, based on our research, what we have understood is they want to understand how is our product complexity, and how is it really a hard problem to solve. Let's say that's what they really are, they care about as per your research. But your interview is talking about situations and all of that, which is great. But what if you could make them spend a day with one of the engineers who is going to be working with the person, where they watch what they're working on and they get a better sense of kind of problem they're solving in real life. That would give them a much better idea, perhaps, as compared to just going through the artificial situation of what questions you're going to ask, right? So if you could think about things, if you could think about things that are important for your audience and try to embed it in some ways, and try to really think about how can we give candidates an experience, an understanding about what we stand for, so that the candidate gets a better idea about who we are. And this time frame of interviews is not just spent on one side learning, but it's a two-directional, it's a bi-directional learning that is happening on both sides. So open houses also is one more thing. Again, open house, it depends on how you want to do it. But again, it's one of the ideas where you can, instead of you waiting till the entire end and trying to bring in the business perspective of the company and trying to connect the candidate with the founder at a later stage, what if a founder can come in at an early stage of the discussion? Let's say even if the first interview happens, even before that, a founder call is happening on Zoom with 25 candidates who can get a sense about the company, about where the company is going, about the business milestones of the company, the product and the vision and all of that. And then they are also getting to ask questions to the founder. And it's happening even before they have proven their mettle. But now, because of this entire understanding and the learning about the company, out of 25 people, 5 people or 10 people are very, very interested. And they are the people actually who are going to put in their heart and soul in the entire hiring process. And they're going to be, if you're going to offer them, they're going to be joining as well. So how can we understand and highlight those things about our company in the hiring process, not just a very traditional way in which we have multiple interviews and then have dedicated slots for HR or founder interviews, but how can we innovate and embed these things inside a long-term process? How can we embed them so that it becomes a bi-directional learning for both of them? And the great thing about these ideas, right? The more you try to innovate in a hiring process, the better brand you can create, because anything that you deviate from the normal, let's say open houses you do with a founder where you invite all these people, out of 25 people, let's say 5 or 10 people are going to be interested. Let's say 15 to 20 people are going to be rejected. But those 15, 20 people are going to remember the experience of talking to your company, understanding your company at a deeper level. And those 10, 25 people are going to tell their friends about it. And they're going to, maybe they will also apply, but they also tell their friends when they see a better fit candidate, they will also promote your brand, right? So those are the things that this is where these experiences are important. A lot of people, a lot of companies, they're very, very so hiring is so complicated and gets so dragged on. It becomes so difficult to close roles that companies are always working on roles that should have been closed 2 months ago or 3 months ago or 6 months ago. So they're always catching up, and it's almost like they're digging the well when they're thirsty, right? And then it keeps happening, and they never really get a chance to plan for things, and hence they are very, very transactional oriented. They're just looking at how many people are going to close, how many people I'm going to offer, and how many people are going to join. They're not looking at experiences. They're not looking at a long-term relationship with people, about the employer brand, because they're never getting a chance to do it. But what we can learn from this 2022 landscape and what happened in 2021 is there is no visible reversal that's going to happen. It's going to become more complicated. It's going to become more challenging. There are going to be more companies. Then there's going to be a bit of shortage of talent pool as well. So what is the long-term plan? What are you seeing in your company next 2-3 years? At least can you start visualizing it, and can you start preparing a plan for it? Today you are working on your roles from 3 months ago, and maybe you're working on your roles for next 3 months. But can you expand the horizon and see what kind of company, what kind of organization structure we can have in next 2 to 3 years? For example, now with this new change, or the new trend that is happening, right? The salaries are increasing. There's a bigger attrition. People are changing the jobs very often. So what if there's of course if everybody wants very, very skilled, ready to deploy talent, it's going to be a shortage. There's no reversal going to happen in that. If you want talent which is experienced, which can deliver stuff today, then there is always going to be a shortage of those people. So what you can do to fight that requirement, to change the requirement itself. So what today you don't have the liberty of deviating from this requirement. What if you could hire smart freshers in future? So let's say for next 2-3 years, that you want to build your own pipeline, and for that you need to be hiring people. You will be able to hire people who are not skilled as of now, but who can learn. But today you can't hire them because you want to deploy them fast. But let's say you also want to groom them for future, and at the same time you're also seeing the other trend, which is that around everybody wants to hire people in 2 to 5 year experience range. So if you look at any job, most people want to hire in this range, because this is the reasonable range. They have certain skills, and it's not very expensive as compared to the more experienced people. So in terms of the more people also in that range. So people think that this is the right range to hire, but this range also has the biggest instability, because these people are into their second or third jobs. They are still trying to arrive at their market value. So they change very often. They are still learning. And they don't have families, so they don't have a lot of stability kind of requirements. But let's say somebody with 8-10 year experience comes in with a higher salary, but at the same time they are more stable. They have arrived at some market value also, so they're not looking at just the salary as a main driver. Let's say they're looking at something which is more leadership, more growth oriented, right? And that's why your company can offer that. So if you can blend those people, so today you're just hiring everybody in a 2 to 5 year range. What if you could hire in next 2 to 3 years? You can change the mix of your talent, where you have more freshers coming in, but along with this 8-10 year experienced people who are also stable, and freshers also are stable, and they're getting to learn and getting to grow in a company. So you have a better, more stable kind of a mix. And also if you average out the cost, in terms of cost also, it works out to be a similar arrangement as your cost today. So think about these kind of options, and I'm sure most of you might be already having these discussions in your companies, that if skilled talent is going to be a shortage, then how are we going to find alternative streams? And today you may have a different plan. A lot of companies are also thinking about Zoho Academy, so where they have Zoho University, which is a very large scale setup, but maybe a shorter version of that could be one innovation. But yeah, we have to understand and acknowledge that if everybody goes for the proven talent which can be deployed right away, there's always going to be a shortage. So you have to plan for next 2-3 years. And I think most companies don't get to do that. They're just living and catching up on their hiring. So that's something which is important, that we have to move beyond this 3 to 6 months, not just in terms of numbers, but also in terms of strategy, and also in terms of the measurement. A lot of companies, when we ask them what are they measuring, most of the companies they stop at measuring joining ratio. or they measure offer acceptance ratio or turnaround time. These are 3 or 4 metrics that have been there, but it's time to move on. It's time to also add more metrics to your to your recruiting toolkit, or to understand the efficiency of your recruitment, because it's no longer about efficiency alone. It's also about effectiveness, right? So when I say effectiveness, how can you improve effectiveness of your recruiting? Is basically, it's not just about turnaround time. It's not just about offer acceptance. It's also about how long they're going to stay in your company. Why are you learning about your company's changing talent mix? What kind of people are coming in? Why are they staying? And are you learning from them so that you can attract more people like them? That is a more holistic view of recruitment that most companies or most people never get a chance to do. So how can you ask questions about, think of your company as a machine where you have people who are thriving, you learn from them, and you go in the market, try to find more of them, replicate them, clone them, and you keep on doing this at scale, so you keep on improving, and you don't have to really fight every time when you have a role. So questions like why someone joined. So we know that how many joined, we know how many dropped, but often we don't know why it happened. And we don't have a very structured and formal way, or a very methodical way of actually writing down these things. Why someone joined, why didn't someone join, why they dropped off, what happened, and again, they could be giving you a reason which might not be the real reason. So are you trying to get to the root reason why they dropped off? Why didn't they apply? So even most of the jobs, when your jobs are out there, people are seeing your jobs, they're evaluating whether they should apply, because application on a job is not just one thing. It's also about the follow-up actions. They know that the more they apply and they get back a response from you, there'll be a more thorough application process, which will require their investment of the time. So if they're not applying, why are they not applying? And that's something which nobody actually has an idea, because no platform even captures that. Actually on Cutshort, we've recently started capturing this information for you, because it's very important for you to know that if somebody is not applying because of salary issues, they find your salary to be a bit lower, they find the experience range to be a bit higher or lower, they find your skill requirements to be too stringent, they find your company to be not interesting, or they're not applying because of your location constraint, and you don't know that. And if you don't know that, how will you improve on that? How will you know what needs, if you change something, what will improve, right? So these are things that as recruiting teams we need to be more curious about, and keep experimenting with new initiatives to build relationship and spread your brand. When we think about just closing your roles, we just look at every candidate as closure or not closure, but not every candidate actually is an opportunity for us to learn, and also an opportunity for us to build a relationship. And as I said, if you have some innovative ideas about your hiring, which you can embed in the product, in your hiring process, you can actually have a great interaction with them and spread your brand from one person to another person. So how can you learn? And if you keep on doing this, in 2 or 3 years, when the situation becomes even more tough, you will be better off, because you would have built relationship with the people, you would have better understanding of the market, you would have better understanding of the candidate pool, and you have better understanding of your own company, that why people come and work here. And all of this effect would be that you would be in a better place to compete and to thrive in a market like that.